The podcast you are listening to of Holmberg's Morning Sickness is brought to you by my friends at Eric's Family Barbecue in Avondale. Meet, mesquite, repeat. Trust me on this one. You've had barbecue before, but you haven't had it this good. Eric's Family Barbecue in Avondale, ericsfamilybbq.com.
When was the last time you had really good Texas-style barbecue? Eric's Family Barbecue, the way it's supposed to taste. Always delicious, never rushed, and prepared to perfection. Eric's Family Barbecue uses only 100% fresh meat, slowly smoked over mesquite wood until it's juicy and delicious. We all know their brisket is the best, but have you tried their pulled pork ribs, or rib tips? Amazing, and their sides are all house-made. Eric's Family Barbecue in Avondale. Meet, mesquite, repeat. Make the trip. You won't be sorry. Go to ericsfamilybbq.com for more information.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Friday. It's 5:45. My name's John Holmberg. There's Brady Bogan, Brett Festley, Big Dick Toledo. This is the Morning Sickness. Ready to go for one more day before we shut her down and start all over again. It's just all a buzz. The whole thing's a buzz. The Suns are the story of the day, especially here. And the Robert Sarver thing. We were talking about it off the air before, and everybody's chatting away about Robert Sarver and the allegations of racism and misogyny and a toxic work environment and everything else. And I will start by saying I am no Suns fan. We talked about it yesterday. I am no Sarver fan. I'm a Suns fan. No Sarver fan at all. Never have been. That's been clear the whole way. But I do think we're in a very slippery position here to say, all right, let's take away from anybody who has multiple complaints from employees without any proof, whatever it is they've built. You don't have to like the guy, but to sit back and say, all right, we got a group of employees. This is a hit job. To me, it's a hit. This is a group of employees saying, I don't like Michael Scott at the office. He makes jokes that because that's essentially all. What I read yesterday, and I'll reserve judgment in case more comes out. But what I read yesterday was no different than what we saw every Thursday night on The Office on NBC with Michael Scott, thinking The Office was his playground, thinking all the employees thought he was funny, and thinking he was just a great boss.
Yeah,
didn't know, was oblivious to what people thought of him. And would make jokes and walk away, and I nailed it. And then everybody look and roll their eyes like, this guy, what a moron. I don't think what he's done is illegal or terrible or any sort of like, you have to lose your position or your job or you can't own this thing anymore. What he's done is just inappropriate, a little awkward, certainly over the line a few times. But it isn't. It's just not illegal. It's more just kind of unsavory. And I don't know. Look, you can get rid of a guy for that. But when there's no paperwork, nobody ever filed anything. There's nothing. It's all he said, she said. This is a hit job.
Yeah.
This is a hit. This is a hit on a guy who's basically like, we don't like him. We've never done a thing about it, but we all banded together. We got ESPN involved. And I don't understand how ESPN ran that story, because every movie I've ever watched about a news media outlet trying to get a guy, the one thing was the editor, you've given me nothing. I need proof. There's no smoking gun. There's no email. There's no tape.
Doesn't need to be anymore, though.
The Donald Sterling thing that happened a few years ago, you're right.
Unfortunately.
A few years ago with the Clippers, Donald Sterling, there was audio tape of him doing exactly what people said. If I remember right, I may be wrong,
It was a little...
Chris Paul played for that team, that Clipper team, when that all went. And like the whole team said, we're not playing tonight. I think they canceled the game. But the whole Clipper team said, found out and heard it's like, we're not playing. Doc Rivers was the coach. I remember him going, I don't even know what to do about this. I do not want to work for this person now that I know this. But there was the smoking gun, the evidence, the
yelled at his girlfriend right at the time.
Right.
What are you hanging out with Magic Johnson
Right.
for?
And he wasn't just saying Magic
Correct.
Johnson. He was saying a lot. He was saying a lot of horrible stuff, and a lot of it was recorded. Also a hit job, but with proof. This one, to me, seems like we don't like the boss. Let's gather around and talk about it. And ESPN's very clever. In the first paragraph of the article, it says, we interviewed over 70 people. That doesn't mean all of them said the same thing.
No.
That means that they got a bunch to say, I watched him do something stupid. Interview everybody.
What are some stupid things that happened while you worked at the Suns?
Tell me about working for the Suns. And maybe it is a sucky place to work. Maybe he is just impossible. Maybe he's just an awful human being. That does not surprise. I've seen him. I've been one row behind the guy at a game before, and there is a odd, I don't want to say creepy, but an odd vibe that just permeates off of him of ego and arrogance. And it's just not – he's one of those uncomfortable guys. He's one of those dudes who was never popular in high school that got something, and now all of a sudden he swings it around. And you're like, he just doesn't give you that comfortable feeling. That doesn't mean he shouldn't work. That doesn't mean we find everything he's done wrong. I have a problem hanging people for he said, she said words when they're isolated over a 17-year period, and you've got like 5 or 6 incidents, and one guy really hates him. And the current group is like, we don't know anything about what you're saying. Devin Booker's like, it's disturbing what I'm hearing, but in my 7 years, I've seen nothing of this. He didn't even know Earl Watson and Sarver, had a beef. Monty Williams, the coach, is like, it's not the place I know, but, kind of reserving judgment because it's delicate to say I'm on his side, and then you find out later, oh, no, we got all sorts of stuff saying this guy's terrible. To me, it's a hit job. It's a complete and utter.
And
we can hang him in the court of public opinion long before.
It's already been
done.
More or less done.
It's done. And the Suns fans, by the way, this is more of a media trick. The Suns fans last night, I was at the game. They don't care. The jokes that were going around my section, the people that I talked to, I didn't go around interviewing folks, but I chatted with a couple of people, and they're like, this is weird. Every person kind of to a man said the same thing. If it's true and it comes out that it's true, it's a bad look, and he's probably got to go. But we've all worked for somebody that said crazy things, and you just brush it off and move on. Now, if the guy is hindering your progress at work, in your way, you file paperwork. If you can't go to HR at your job, then there's a huge problem. And if that comes out, it's like, I could not do it. I tried, and they said no. Because then you go to lawyers and you say they wouldn't even let me do it. But this he said, she said thing. Maybe Robert Sarver did all this. Maybe he did. But without evidence, it starts to become a real slippery slope, and we all have little nooses around our necks if this is the type of thing that can get you bounced. Because I start the morning every day saying something horrible to you, Brady, when I walk in the room. What's up? And then usually there's something you'd have to beep on the radio, whether it's misogynistic, horrible cuss, a slur. Brett comes in every morning and pretty much says, morning, mother... Oh, oops, geez, my beeper didn't work. And does it mean that you're, insensitive to people who have had incest in their life? No. It just is we're friends.
Yeah.
We're pals.
We're guys.
I know we're guys.
If the guy from ESPN asked me, how do you guys greet yourself in the morning? Or how does John greet you in the morning? And I tell him that story.
And you're mad at me.
No, it's not even mad.
Just imagine you were, though.
Now he'll take that and go, can you
But imagine
this?
You were.
Yeah.
You're a disgruntled employee, and you come back and say, oh, the things he said to me. Back when we were pals, the things I said to him were bad, but then we had a falling out, and now I'm going to take all the times that John said something that looked bad now, and I'm going to make him his normal routine.
You're done, man.
Right, cook me, because I have no issue saying it. I probably this week have walked into the office and called you something horrible. If it was in print and you said, I don't like him and this is what he says to me every morning, people would be like, John is a horrible person and Brady hated working with him. Because that's what you know now. It wouldn't, and oh well, I don't think you do.
But then it starts finger pointing because you could say, well.
Right, so now I say, well, Brady also, first off, laughed at it all the time. And the things Brady said were, now what?
Yeah.
Now everybody's guilty.
If I came in and one of you guys didn't say something like that, or I didn't say it to you, I'd be like, what's
mad.
Wrong?
What did
I do? Sorry.
Yeah, Brett walked in with his normal.
It's his morning hug.
Good morning, mother. Down the hall. And we were like, Brett, that's enough. Like, oh, Jesus, something's going on.
Yeah.
We have what you would consider in writing a wildly toxic work environment. Construction sites. I imagine you guys listening are thinking to yourselves, wildly toxic work environment. Every woman who looks amazing.
Busting balls.
Mechanics shops, body shops.
Some of the worst ones are women who want to let you know, I'm not going to be that lady. So they go crazy with weird things they say, and you're like, oh, just to prove they're cool. I've sat at a dinner with our owner, Ginny Morris, who is buttoned up. She's great, but, she's a human being. And we're sitting at a table, and she said some stuff that was like in a joking fashion and looked at me like, it's okay. it wasn't bad. There was nothing about it that I could ever report that was like, she made a joke and loosened the room.
Yeah.
Because it's like, guys, uptight. Just because I'm kind of queen of the whole thing, you can relax a little. And she, it was political, if I remember right. The thing that was like, whoa, it was a political rip. And I'm like, that's okay, good. She is human. I have to remember, beyond being the star of this entire program at Hubbard, she's a human being and just wants to have a conversation.
And she has to feel that room out now. And
constantly.
It's more and more difficult for someone in that position
we talked
to do
about that. She said it to me. She said, how do you navigate this world? And I said, how do you? We're at Stake 44. I'm like, how do you navigate this world?
Yep.
Because this is a strange one. Our broadcast company just went through this with a he said, she said thing up in Chicago. And it wasn't even when we owned them, but there was a misstep in the investigation that turned out to be the plank that got kicked out from under the feet of people that were like, okay, we can't move on. And again, the biggest thing we worried about, I think, from my limited knowledge of what happened up there, was the court of public opinion. If you support the employee that's under fire, and it turns out kind of later that there's evidence of it, what does the city say about you? What does the surrounding area say about you? Because it isn't about the person that's in trouble. It's about the image you project after. And so now the Suns are in that position. It's like if they stand by him, and you've got a pretty decent situation with an African-American general manager and head coach. And if those guys are willing to say, I'm waiting because I haven't seen any of this, well, you got to put that in the same category as people said, well, I have. You have to look at the other people that say this guy has never once exhibited the behavior that's being presented. That has to be weighed equally. It's the N-word use and all the other stuff has more weight in the news than somebody saying, no, he doesn't. It's more interesting to hear the person throwing out all the accusations than it is the person saying, never seen anything like this. I don't know anything. So the interviewed 70 people, many of the 70 were all just in tears every day on a drive to work. It's tough to work for an asshole. It is. Yeah. I've done it. I think we've all done
Everybody's done it, yeah.
And it's hard. And what my objective was to work with an asshole was do my job the best I can do it for me, tolerate him, and if everything came down to it, because he wasn't doing anything terribly illegal. He's just hard to work with. He was just a difficult human being. And then in that case, you just when another opportunity comes up, you consider leaving.
And that's usually, like the situations in Sarver's case, Sarver being the overall guy,
yeah,
he hires hitmen, basically his heavies to
watch out.
Because working for the Suns, one of the toughest things is look, it's ticket sales. So anyone in that department is going to have days that are like, hey, you got to sell these tickets.
Glenn Ross.
It is.
You got a guy screaming at you
that kind of atmosphere
closing.
Is competitive.
One of the people they interviewed had worked there for 24 years and was let go right before the finals in sales. He said, if anybody's got an axe to grind, it's me.
Yeah.
And he goes, there were days, tough days, there were easy days. And he goes, it wasn't that bad. It was a workplace. So I think the dangerous thing for me is and it is kind of, it's Michael Scott. It's The Office. If The Office was a real place and you did that documentary like they really did and you watched it, you'd be like, this guy should be fired for the 3,000 things that nobody ever they just dealt with. They went to work like this boss of ours is a moron. But we get our job done because his moronic stuff that he's busy dealing with makes it so our jobs are actually kind of easier. He's not paying attention. He doesn't have his eye on the real ball. So I just think it's really – I think the dangerous part is now you're going to get into a battle of I don't like him. We said things that – we have no proof, but we said these things. They're terrible. Maybe he actually did it. And now you're going to just go out and hang everybody. Everybody's on the news. And so Robert Sarver, like you said, he's got hitmen. He's got people. And he's more than likely looking at all the Facebook and Instagram accounts of the people who have accused him and the writers and the ESPN people and everything. And by the way, ESPN, big set of balls on ESPN because Chris Berman still works there. And if you recall, he was sexually harassing people like crazy. He said, she said, and proof. They had video of it. You've had several accounts that place is awful to work and everything. So, I mean,
yeah. So what's the end all?
They throw stones at this. Everybody's got a workplace complaint. I love it here, and I sit back and think to myself, well, that shouldn't happen. That we all hear and do and say things that are like, oof, man. If somebody was angry and heard that, that would be a different animal. It's just it's the perception of the person hearing it. So a couple of the things was a lady overing a conversation amongst men in a locker room, and she didn't like it because she's family oriented, and he offered up women to the Suns team to say, in a joking fashion, if I could send women to your rooms in Los Angeles, would you guys at least be in your beds by curfew?
Yeah.
And the lady's like, oh, I am a family woman and take family very seriously, and some of these men are married. And it's like, okay, you're uptight is what you are. So, but that's in there. That's misogyny. That's treating women. And maybe he does. Maybe he does treat women poorly. But there's nothing, no paperwork to say, like 70 employees over time have filed against him and said, this guy said this, and I can't work here anymore. And it's just somebody needs to do, nobody did a thing. So if you don't have paperwork, you don't have much of anything other than maybe the truth.
Here's
and
a
maybe
former
not.
story.
But I think the die is cast, and I think Robert Sarver is going to have to go, which to me is the dangerous thing. I don't like
There
it.
is a conduct in the ownership NBA that will
he's an idiot.
Yeah.
And it proved
They
out.
can say, well, all right, yep, you're going to have to sell the team.
The investigation's coming. But guess what? Now everybody that's in the NBA that's like, I don't like our owner, what do you guys got?
Let's take a look.
You got anything? Because now the NBA sets itself up to stand on thin ice.
Interview all the teams.
Yeah, they stand on thin ice every time. And they say this guy one time a while ago jokingly rapped a Drake song. And he did it with an accent. And it was very, very insulting to us. Because now that sounds terrible. He would go around and do a black accent. And he's, okay, well, he's out. Well, you can't do that. He's making fun of the players. It's like he wasn't at the time. It's context, but it's a dangerous world.
It comes from almost a humor side of it.
What
a person thinks, oh, this might be funny, or this person won't take that serious.
Funny then isn't funny now. Look at The Office. The Office went off the air in 2011 and would not fly for a second with all the people flipping out about, my boss did that and this. Like, you can't have the fun in this. Like, that's the whole point of the show, is that this dude's oblivious to his own people's perception of him. He thinks he's king of the world. And I think Robert Sarver thought that. I own this team. These guys find, they think I'm
a good guy.
I'm hilarious. We've all known that dude who thinks he's just a riot. And he's not funny at all. He just makes you go, ugh. Yeah. They're on right now. They're everywhere. But yeah, it's just that guy at the office. You're like, oh, and they swing at every pitch. I always call those people they swing at every damn pitch, because they come in and, oh, there's something going on. Here's something I think, and they're just, every joke is a bomb, one after another. They're the guy that sends you 400 memes a day, and like 2 are okay. The dude's swinging at everything. Balls in the dirt, up high, inside, outside. He's just swinging. And he's going to get one every once in a while, but he's hitting like 89. And it's terrible. He's that guy. He's like, this dude sends me nonsense constantly, and I'm sick of it. Why don't you tell him to stop? If I do, he's going to get upset because he thinks he's funny. He thinks I laugh at all of them. If you're ever a person that says the words, how come you never respond to my memes? Just know you're probably sending too many memes. That people are ignoring you. If you have to ask people, why are you ignoring me? You probably should turn and look in a mirror for a second and go, I'm being ignored. Well, let's retrace my steps. I only sent him 153 bad memes today. I have a lot of meme people. Meme people send me things. And most of the time,
any things that were, like you said, that had been going on since before 2011.
Oh.
That happened.
Right.
I mean, if you go back, the people that were found, this happened.
Yeah.
Broom had mentioned the one thing, like if Bill Clinton's job was the way it was,
Kennedy.
even to this day, Kennedy
was a monster.
Jefferson.
Well, we know that. That's going back a little too far.
I know.
But, even back to like Bush and, Biden to a certain degree with his handsy, touchy whisper thing that everybody's on. It's just everybody's guilty of making someone uncomfortable. And you can make multiple people uncomfortable. I just don't think over a 17-year span, 10 or 11 stories that come out that are unsavory are enough to say, this guy can't work ever again. The John Gruden thing is the first one for me. It's like, oh, wow. 10 years ago, He said stuff wildly inappropriate privately. And he can't work.
I mean, we talked about that technology. If they come out with the thing that figures out your inner thoughts.
Oh, my God.
I'm just going to hang myself.
Oh, you
more or less what's
you're
happening.
done. You're done.
Everyone is.
Everyone is.
Yeah.
Because like Louis C.K. said, he hates the N-word more than the actual word itself because you make me the racist. When you say N-word, my brain goes and says it. And you're like, damn it.
That's true.
And you're the one who knows what it is. So it's really it's the same thing as the the dominoes that fell when it used to be for fat kids' pants. Big kids.
Yeah.
Fat kid pants. Husky. And then it started to get like nicer, but it meant the same thing. It meant the same thing. Plus size. Curvaceous, voluptuous, like all the word. And then they became.
Now it's just simple. XL.
Yeah, and then it became synonymous with fat and became a new word to call them. Yeah, she's voluptuous, all right. It's like, oh, you're calling that. Well, before that's not what it meant, but until you tried to cushion the blow, and you can cushion it because you're a beanbag.
Yeah. She's a pig.
Yeah, right. And I like Brett's way because it means the exact same thing. Big boned, oversized human. It's just stupid. So the more you kind of like, okay, now the N-word will eventually be something we don't say because it's too offensive. Not the actual N-word, but the N-word will be the one where we're like, well, now you can't do it. Because it would, look, a black guy would still get mad if you like, look, N-word. It's not safe when you use it like that. It isn't. This N-word it's like, well, that guy's being racist. So you can still use it the safe way and still be horrible. It's intent.
You can't walk in and go, what's up, my N-word?
Yeah, if I said, hey, N-words, how are you? You wouldn't do that because that's as bad as saying it.
Or that's a big in your office. What's up, you fat pig?
Right.
I mean,
it's still pretty
that's
hilarious.
what the problem that guys would say,
I'd
she's a pig. Whatever.
All right, Brady, I get it. That was passive-aggressive. I'll stop. Fat bitch. Yeah, see, but we're friends. In a few years, when we're not friends, and you spill the beans and you've got that tape on me, I'll be like, oh, that fat bitch got me. It's hilarious. It's funny for 100
We had a guy
reasons.
at the station, the old station. That's exactly why he got.
He called you a fat bitch?
No.
Oh.
Called a girl that.
Was
the
she?
receptionist on the
And
phone.
Was he wrong?
No, not on the anatomically, but you just don't.
It's not.
You have
nice.
a phone call. We'll take a message, you fat.
No, geez.
Oh,
yeah.
jeez.
That's again, the malicious intent. It's not funny. It's nothing.
Yeah.
You shouldn't do that. No, you shouldn't. That's wrong. And if you're doing that enough and you're the owner of the place, people smile.
And if the guy didn't back down on it, what?
What? She is. Surprised she took 5 seconds away from eating to complain.
Somebody told me I'm lying. Somebody told me.
All right, I guess.
Anybody with me? Who's with me?
I guess
Nobody's with me.
I'm a blind idiot because I'm wrong about that. Okay. I didn't know I'd lost my eyesight. I was hallucinating. Extra her. But yeah, it's, you shouldn't insult people like that with malicious intent. Now, Sarver pulling that dude's pants down is a hilarious.
That's a tough situation.
But again, it's a guy who doesn't know he's not funny, doesn't know that people are nervous around him. He thinks he's one of the gang. He's dying to be one of the gang.
Yeah.
And he's playing along, and he takes
Wants
it
to
too
be a
far.
cool owner.
He wants to be the cool guy, and he pants the salesperson. The fact that guy didn't go to HR that day, and he said it's because I was standing next to the person who runs HR and said, please don't sue us. And he's like, I won't, don't worry. Then you've made a decision at that very moment not to go forward. And I know there's pressure on that, but you have to live with that. I think. Now, there'll be other people out there that argue with me to go, no, because you feel pressure to not do it, and it's embarrassing. And yep, it's embarrassing, and sometimes you just have to get over those things. And it sucks. And it certainly does make you feel weird, but you don't want your boss to be you know what we're creating is a bunch of bosses that won't talk to you, that are hard as hell, that are crusty, and they just A to B. And that's not the environment anybody really wants to work in.
Crusty's not going to work.
No, well, just
You got to be tender.
But it's going to come across as crusty.
I know.
It's going to come across as this guy doesn't like me. That's a worse toxic work environment to me, is a boss that has no time for you. A boss that, it's tough.
I'm with you. Just the eggshell.
Exactly. Like, is he mad at me?
Worst.
Or is he? No, he can't talk to us. We've created an environment now where the boss can't speak to the employees. You're actually building a bigger class problem in the hierarchy of things where the bosses will not talk to the workers because the workers will revolt and say if he missteps, he's out. So his safest plan is to not speak to you unless you need to be spoken to. And usually that's in a bad thing. So it's, you can't compliment anybody. It's just, it's a weird thing. And the Sarver thing really shines a light on the idea of like,
you want it to go this way?
yeah, unsavory? Yes. Bad look? Absolutely. Innocent before proven guilty? It's out the door. He's guilty now. He is this guy. And the people that I heard last night chatting away about it and the stuff I saw on the news this morning and last night before I turned in was they found all the people that went, this is awful. I was sick to my stomach when I heard it. He's got to go. Like you feed the beast of media by making it more salacious if you've got everybody on your side. It's not easy to read, but it's also a thing where you're like, if this was my workplace, would I hang this dude? I would have done it earlier. I guess that's just the difference between me and somebody who's like, I'm afraid of HR. I'm not. If Tripp pantsed me and said, get over it, sissy, and then walked away, I'd be like, no, you're done. And I guess that's just me being stronger than some other people that would. If I feel the need to get you in that regard, I'm going to take advantage of it right then and there. I'm not going to wait years before I have a complaint about it. That's my problem. And I understand there's pressure and some people are scared. I'm not one of those. So you have to take my word for the fact that some people aren't scared, and that doesn't make me different than you, and it just makes me think your way's wrong. Just like you'd say, no, not everybody can do it your way. Right, and I can't do it yours. Because I don't think it sounds old-fashioned. I don't think it's the manly thing to do to wait 10 years and say, I was embarrassed once. And if you're not over it by now. 10 years ago, Brett got pantsed at a party. Was he complaining about that now? He's not over it? He still worked here the entire 10 years?
That's on you then.
That's the worst thing that happened to him in those 10 years? And you stuck around the entire time? You never sought a new job or looked around for anything? We wonder why the hell you were here doing overnights not looking for work.
Sometimes I wondered the same.
You didn't even have your toxic work environment. You were the only one in here. Why weren't you looking for another job?
And in some situations, I get the fact that, if I go in and complain, then I'm on that list and I'm on my way out the door.
That's why you do the complaint.
Because you feel so much pressure.
That's why you go in and make paperwork your friend. No.
Right.
That's exactly why you do complain.
That's why they had
right.
HR.
That's why it's in every building. It's so you don't, like you go in and say, I filed the paperwork. And if I'm on a list now to get fired for saying this guy pantsed me and it made me wildly uncomfortable and he's the owner and I have no recourse against him and this is the only thing I've got and I'm filing. You might get fired, but guess what? A bidder pantsed you and then fired you. You're going to win. So, yeah, my belief is if you have that, you can wait a day or two for sure, but 10, 12 years later, you're like, no, ridiculous. Man, you're just being a bitch. You probably deserve to be pantsed in the public square. But yeah, that's wildly inappropriate. Robert Sarver's 100% wrong. And again, I'm not a fan of his. But I'm a fan of the idea that I don't want the workplace to turn into what you said, like eggshells and fear, and the boss can't talk to anybody, and you can't talk to him, and you can't talk to anybody underneath you because they're all looking at you like, when my boss makes a mistake, I'm getting him. And I don't even need evidence anymore. All I have to do is say he says bad things. Yeah, but it's bad. And I think he's toast, to be honest with you. As much as I disagree with it, I think he's toast. And I'll reserve judgment on the whole thing because we don't know it all. But if this is all ESPN's got, it's a hit job. And the NBA's in on it, and the employees of the Suns are in on it. People want him out. And this is the best they've got. It's not much, but it's the best they got. So I think he's done.
We talked about it yesterday, though. He's going to come out of this making bank, too, from what he paid for it. Right. So, I mean, his name will be trash, but he's not going to be destitute by any means.
I talked to Caliendo about this the other day. John Gruden can retire and quit completely. And he's actually pretty much got a case against this investigation that had hung him.
Yeah.
Because the investigation wasn't about him, and they leaked information, and if it turns out they find out who leaked it and whatever, he can go after that. But he's got enough money to go away. I don't know this. I don't know this feeling. I would like this feeling someday where he's got so much money that that's no longer the important thing. And now your ego's your currency. And like Robert Sarver has enough money to sit back and say, that's never going to be a problem. So I don't care about the billions that would come in and stack on top of the pile I've already got. I'm Robert Sarver. And that is what he's leading with now. That's his ego saying, you damaged this. This is mine. This is like my money. Fine. Because I'm with you. Like the way I think about it, I'm like, you give me a couple $1 billion, I'll go to an island and you'll never hear from me again.
Yeah.
But this guy needs to be heard from. Papa John. I still don't understand what happened there. But he pops up every once in a while. It's like, just go away.
Yesterday. Oh, yeah, I've tried 40 pizzas in the last 40 days. And I got to tell you, it's not as good as it used to be.
No, and that's where you're like, your ego is all you have. The money is there. That's secondary to you. All of us normal people are like, you give me that much money, I can figure out a way to make this feel okay. Because we're going from zero to, they're going from having a lot to having even more. And they can't not be in the spotlight. Alec Baldwin can't not pull over and talk to cameras. They can't hide. There's something different going on with people in that position. There's just something different about it. I don't have it. Like, I clear my name. I don't need to. If you give me $1 billion, I don't care what you give me. But I think that's what most of us normals think. People who have tons and tons of money are like, no, my name means more than this money. Because they want to have some sort of mark on the world for history's sake. I have none of that. I would love to disappear. I wish someone would say, here's $2 billion and tell people.
Maybe that's some of their thing that would be hard for them. They're like, I'm a billionaire. I just can't disappear like that.
That's the point. They think they're important to the planet's rotation. Right. But again, you give me $1 billion and say, all you got to do is admit you said the N-word like 1,000 times. I'm like, I'll say it 1,000 times right now on TV for $1 billion. Then you got to disappear from society. I want to do that anyway.
Goodbye.
You're going to give me $1 billion to do that? Okay. What else do you need me to say? Oh, here's a list of horrible things. Okay. Tack on another $1 billion. I'll do this like multiple times a day. I can be bought. No problem. All of us can. Everybody's like, oh, if you have a price, your morality disappears for $1 billion. That's sitting in front of you, and you're like,
Billion, it may not take even that much.
Even Brady would do it. Have sex with a prostitute on CNN right now. Here's $1 billion. Brady's pulling his pants down before. It's not even a real scenario, and he's already pantsless. He pantsed himself. So, of course, everybody's got a thing. I got no problem with that. I would never compromise my morals. Well, I would. You're silly. No problem with that.
There's a couple scenarios I'm thinking of that
you would do immediately.
It'd be tough.
Like what? I wouldn't kill somebody.
Well, like when you said
$1 billion,
I want you to
I'd
say
kill
this.
somebody. I'd kill somebody for $1 billion.
OJ did it for a hell of a lot less.
You're right. And he lost a lot of money doing it. He still seems happy. Brett's right. $1 billion, I think I'd slaughter somebody for you. Might be hard, but I'd do it. Whew, that's a tough one.
I don't know.
That's hard. Like I don't think I could do it by hand. I could do it like I could snipe.
Again, it comes back to
I'm not a violent man.
Some of those things, knowing what you did it for, and then
$1 billion.
Be able to shake it off. I'm
going to buy an island somewhere. I'll see you guys later.
I think I could shake it off.
I don't know if I could.
Sure, I'd live with guilt for a while, and then I'd be like, but my yacht feels so nice. The murder part's a little tough, but depends on who I'm killing, right? What are your scenarios? I can't think of one.
That would be one.
Murder. Yeah, murder's illegal. I don't know that I'd break the law like in a violent fashion for $1 billion. But I'd do some unsavory stuff.
Basically, it would be the tough one. It comes back from basically we want you to say, this would be the test. What you have believed in, your core value or whatever, we want you to say no. It's like bend the knee to the king.
Okay.
Like say this God does not. That would be a tough one.
You wouldn't say God doesn't exist for $1 billion and then just go right back to believing it?
I thought about that.
You've said it here on the show. I've got tape of you saying it.
And I didn't get paid.
Right. So for $1 billion, you should do it again. You did it for free once. Come on. It's ridiculous.
You get one free one.
Watch this. There's no God. Oh, nuts. And look, nothing
right,
happened.
But that's not. But I'm saying whatever your core value would be, like would that be? And the ripple effect after it's funny. You that's the quandary that people.
That's quandary you're putting on yourself, though.
Yeah, you put it on yourself.
Yeah, you just get over that real fast. Spending and buy a couple Chipotles, you'd be all right. You'd make it.
I did this because I said there's no God, but I was lying.
It's good. There you go. You lied. Two things in one.
You get your Chipotle and they get the order wrong.
Didn't even believe it.
They did last night.
Didn't even believe it. That's where you draw a line. If I had a suitcase with $1 billion, you wouldn't say there is no God. You'd say it so fast. My head would spin. It would spin.
Where am I saying it?
Here's into the microphone.
100,000 watts right behind you.
I think you'd do that for $200. If I just had 200 in hand.
It's a pleasure doing business.
Exactly. Everybody will forgive it for that. But those billionaires live in a different animal. So Robert Sarver sitting back saying, well, I can't have my name besmirched. I have to fix this because I'm too important to society. You're really not. Nobody's that important. We all live, we all die. And by the way, you're just renting your stuff. So everything you've got here on the planet,
meanwhile,
it stays.
Billionaires got stimulus checks last year.
Right, and people are angry about that. And people just don't like them. I, however, want to be one. I don't like them because I'm not one. That's the only reason why.
Come on, Shimu.
Yeah, I'm with Brett. Brett would be quicker to kill somebody for the billion.
Oh, yeah.
I'd him and home.
There's no him and home.
Why are you throwing a billion
It would not take
there?
$1 billion. $1 billion would be easy.
Yeah.
$1 billion, I think I'd be like Brett's lookout. Could I get a couple 100,000 out of this if I just tell you? Not yet. Shoot. Anyway, yeah, the Sarver thing's dangerous. He said, she said, and it's a dangerous world when we start that. Because if I'm Sarver, I got a team of people looking to try to get the rider back. And hopefully he's cleared his Instagram account and Facebook and all the things he's ever done because, oh, boy, that's a slippery one right there. Anyway, so everybody's the talk of the town is the Robert Sarver thing, and I'm really not seeing too much crazy about it. It's bad, but how bad? Let's get a wake-up song, shall we? A careful, very careful one. Can't have any bad words
That's
in it.
That's gonna be the next thing.
God, I don't know how music survived anything. I don't know how music has survived a single thing. We have songs about rape, murder, God, everything you can imagine that's horrible. And some of them are great. Misogyny. Rap is all about what Robert Sarver's about to lose his sons for. Maybe we'll just play an instrumental. Like Gary Glitter. And there's nothing wrong with playing that Gary Glitter song, is there? Oh, wait, no, he's a child molester. Damn it all, we can't do anything. Give us a wake-up song. 585-9800. Let's start this Friday positively. It's 98 KUPD. Wake up!
Pathetic.
98.
That's it. That's bonkers!
KUPD.
You've been listening to Holmberg's Morning Sickness Podcast, brought to you by our friends at Eric's Family Barbecue in Avondale. Meet, mesquite, repeat. Eric'sFamilyBBQ.com.